As long as you're thinking you stole our land, you'll never get the land back. You need to realize you were conquered. Once you accept it, accept shaile. Because when you say stolen, you go to the police station, hey, they stole, and the police are there like, no, sir, but where's your title deed? No, sir, go and report to the United Nations. It's this whole joke. Very good afternoon and a warm welcome to the virtual Mkhukhu once again. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to click on the subscribe button and especially click on the notification bell so that every time we drop a video, you are not left in the dark. I'm never alone. I'm always going with Manyi, Usbuda, Wabantuana, DJ Sbu. Sbuda, how are you doing?
How are you? How you doing, Mr. Penzo?
Nah, I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you, my brother. You well?
We've had very weird weather in Joburg in the past week. A lot of thunderstorms, because a lot of us leave the rains in January, February, but there's a lot of thunderstorms and I don't think winter has kicked in yet. Otherwise, outside of the weather, I think I'm good. I'm happy. I'm happy with the work we're doing. I'm happy that we're shaking the nation. That makes me very, very happy. There are people everywhere that I meet that are having conversations about the conversation that we're having, which means we're having an impact, I think, as big as mainstream media. That makes me very happy.
Makes me happy too. I think our platforms are all growing, and the impact that we had this time last year, you can feel that it has grown.
Yeah.
You can only imagine where we will be this time in 2025.
Yeah. For
me, it's just all about consistency. I did a video a few days ago, so now I'm like you. Lately, I just pull out my phone and I do videos. Inspired by you, by the way. And then I was saying to the guys, sometimes you must not check the high score, just keep doing the work and being consistent. Before you know it, when you raise your head, you'll be like, wow, is this how far I've gone now? Mm-hmm. You know, and a lot of people are not that consistent. People go, and at some point they give up. And I think I love what we've been able to do on this internet thing. We've been very consistent. Yeah. And I think we must keep it up.
I've asked you this question before. I'm going to ask it again because we might have new squatters that are watching. How do you manage over years, decades to remain consistent? Because you must remember, Tina Soma Figizolo, but already the distractions on social media, people that want to meet you, etc. How do you stay on track and never deviate from Ispan? A lot of your peers have fallen off, whether because of opportunities, platforms, lack of talent, or when you are diversely talented. You can do different things. You can do music, you can do business, you can do radio, you can do TV, etc. How have you managed to remain consistent, especially because you've had so much mud thrown at you?
Very interesting question. I really do think it also depends on the type of person you are and why you started.
Yeah.
I always speak about if your why is big enough. Like, why did you start? Why are you doing what you're doing? Because as much as it's passion and something you love, and a lot of us that are doing whatever we're doing now at our age, a lot of us started these things when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
Black Coffee started DJing when he was a kid. You know, I can mention all these other names. A lot of us started these things when we were teenagers. Yeah. So it's something that sort of has become a part of your life. But to keep going, I guess you have to be inspired by something bigger than you. Can be your family, can be your children, can be, legacy motivated. It can be about your community or your country. You know, it can be inspired by patriotism. Or also, it matters the type of work ethic that you have as a person. Other people are successful in their own right. If your goal is to be a good parent and be with your family most of the time, you're not crazy about being rich or creating wealth. You're just okay with one property and just your regular job and just raising your children and being there. You're a successful parent. You're successful in your own right.
Yeah.
Right? So as much as somebody else whose dream is to do 1, 2, 3 and they're doing it, they're successful in their own right. As opposed to a person like myself who's in the public eye and the type of drive that I have, it's not normal that a lot of people have such a drive. It can be looked at as sort of extraordinary sometimes, but for me, it's just normal. I'm inspired by working. I love working, and now that one is more on the internet, it's nothing different from what I've been doing all of my life.
Yeah.
When I started out, I wanted to be on YFM. I was at community radio. From community radio, I was on campus radio. Campus radio, I was at YFM. I was always at YFM. On weekends, I was there. After school, I'll walk all the way down to Bertram's. I'll hang around YFM DJs. I wanted to be a part of them. At some point, I ended up working for a while. From YFM to Ukhozi, I was always in the studio, even when my show is not on. Same as Metro. So it's something I've done all of my life. And for me, it's like, it comes second nature.
Okay.
So it just so happens that the platform is not necessarily your traditional mainstream media. It's the internet. But it's pretty much, for me, still the same thing because it's content creation on a daily basis.
Sure.
On radio, you have to be there Monday to Friday. You're creating content daily.
Yeah.
So for me, I look at it as the same thing. But I am also driven. I'm driven to change the narrative about us Black people, Ekasi people.
Is this your why?
My why is I think maybe 10 years ago, or let me say 9 years ago when my daughter was born, changed my life, made me want to even hustle more but smarter. And I would always say my why is my daughter, my why is my family. But it has become bigger than that as I've grown.
Yeah.
That I understand that I've got a bigger responsibility, that it's over and above my own family, but it's my community and the country at large and just us as Black people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is my why. And it's not just even about wealth, but it's just about excellence, and you want to take it as far as you possibly can. And also you are cognizant that all of the content that we're recording is going to outlive us. Okay. It's gonna be up there for the rest of our lives. So even when we're gone, at least we left content that young people of the future will be able to come back, click and watch. And it's it's a form of us giving game to our young people out there. But also even the results of the things that we've done speak for themselves. When people see our companies thriving and they're like, wow, they can see the results of our work, but they can also come back here to these platforms and absorb the wisdom, So yeah, the getting dragged part, it's part of the game. I always say to people, if you feel you'd rather live a private life and you'd rather not have people in your space, in your private life, rather not get onto these platforms and get yourself out there. Rather not get into those social media platforms and get yourself out there, because whether you like it or not, at some point it will come.
Yeah.
And when it comes, don't get mad and be like, no, don't get into my personal life. Yeah, but you are the one who put yourself out there.
True.
And you know how people are. South Africans, we love. We are full of love. We are full of passion. When we love you, we love you. And when there's anything that comes that has to do with you, we will be involved, whether that thing is positive or negative. We'll throw in our 2 cents words. Other people will drag you for it. And sometimes, you are one of those people. I also sometimes ask myself, like, how does Panyo handle being dragged so much every day? And then I come back to me, I'm like, we've been dragged since the days of Shasha and we're still here standing,
Yeah. No, thank you. There's a guy called Patrick Bet David.
Yeah.
He runs Valuetainment.
Yeah.
Very huge platform. He's just, I don't know if it's rumored, but he's signed on Tucker Carlson, very big voice from Fox, who was released because of, I think it's a over $780 million lawsuit. I don't know the details, not important. He made a video and he was saying the importance of content creation, because you're speaking about outliving the work that we're doing. He says he's never grown up with his grandfather and he always craved knowing what his grandfather was about, what his dreams were, what his work was. And he's like, we have the opportunity for our grandkids to tell them our story using these platforms, so that your grandkids, great-grandkids, even if they don't know you, will be like, oh, so this nose I get from this guy. Oh, so this insanity that I have is actually from Loko Kolona. And he says we have this privilege and we're sleeping on it, the ability to create content for future generations, so that future generations don't have to imagine what their grandparents look like. They don't have to imagine the thought processes, the wishes, the dreams. Could be something like making a video and saying, my wish for my family is to move to New York and to take over Wall Street. I may not make it. I'll start a small spaza shop and I hope my future generation children, my descendants, will do it. And a great-great-grandchild watching this video might just be sparked and be like, I think I have the same thing that Mkhukhu, Koko, whatever I had. And I'm going to make it a reality because of that. I mean, Elon Musk is the realization of what his grandparents wished for, to kind of conquer the world. So I fully agree with that, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
I wanna introduce the topics for today. Number one, over the past weekend, we had the coronation of King Charles, officially taking over from his late mother, Queen Elizabeth. I can only imagine how many black people and other people, indigenous people that were colonized, were getting triggered by that. There's a story around the Cullinan diamonds, which are in the crown, and one of the staff can speak about that. Number two, I want to speak about Miss South Africa. They've just opened up applications, and they are now allowing married women, they are now allowing mothers to join. In 2021, they had their first transgender contestant on Miss South Africa. I want to speak about the new Joburg mayor. We have a new Joburg mayor. Utapelo never made it to 100 days. We've got a new mayor. I want to speak about that. And then lastly, we have to, on behalf of the squatters, we have to speak about Prime. Prime, Mofaya, if you're happy. Yeah. But we can start with King Charles and the coronation. One of the things I think when we speak about the new mayor, Mzwanele Manyi has joined the EFF. I think we'll touch on that as well.
And I think maybe let's start with Mzwanele Manyi. I think on camera officially, I'd like to send an apology to him, even though we've done it before.
Sure.
And I do know that he's not happy with us because sometime mid last year, we recorded an explosive episode with him on the Hustler's Corner. And unfortunately, the footage got lost.
Yeah.
And we never recovered the footage. And we tried to re-invite him to come back again and re-record. And he has since hasn't forgiven us.
Yeah.
And for that, it was never intentional. We understand that, you know, you're busy, and out of your busy schedule, you took some time to be with us and have an incredible conversation that we had. I was also pissed. You were pissed off too.
Yeah.
We were all angry, you know? And that's why we create this content for our audience, and we wanted the content to come out. It's not something that we intentionally did. So, but these things happen and it's life. So let me just throw it out there. That's we hope that one day you'll find it in you to come and revisit us again and understand that it was never intentional.
I think on my side, I also want to apologize, not just to him. Guys, if any of you have ever created content, at some point the sound gets messed up. At some point you lose footage. At some point a computer crashes. At some point, even when the footage gets uploaded, the way it comes out is not great. So we'd like to apologize. I think some of your favorite podcasters have spoken about some of these things. They've lost certain footage, etc. It's not just Mzwanele Manyi. I think we had Umatsila Koko as well, who because of scheduling, we ended up not being able to sit with him and discuss load shedding and ESCOM and many other guests, not just on the Hustlers Corner, not just on the virtual Mkhukhu, on many other platforms. A guest can't make it. Sometimes we make them wait for too long. Sometimes we film the footage, but something gets damaged. The memory card, for some reason, is corrupted. So we just want to apologize, but to understand that there was no malice. There was no malice. The whole point of the invite was because we respect you, we value you. I mean, Ubabu Mzwanele Manyi, he used to be president of the Black Management Forum. He was a spokesperson for government. He used to own ANN7 and the New Age. He's the spokesperson of the Jacob Zuma Foundation. You know, he's a very passionate South African. He's a very passionate servant of the people. And we wanted to hear his thoughts about what's happening in the country. We wanted to hear his thoughts around ex-President Jacob Zuma, because he works with the family. And he gave us so much knowledge and so much wisdom. And to lose that type of footage, it's like losing a piece of your limb. So on our side, we apologize to him. And we do hope that at some point, he will come back and we'll sit, whether it's with Sbu on his own, whether it's with me on my own, whether it's with the two of us, to come and tell the stories that the squatters, that the hustlers need to hear. And not just him, anyone else who maybe for some reason you weren't really happy with the conversation we had, or we couldn't record, whatever the case may be. But I think on a more positive note, he left the ANC at some point. He joined ATM, which is led by a very young, passionate leader, Uvuyo Zungula. And then officially he went and he announced that he has left the ATM and he has now joined the EFF. I saw him in his EFF regalia. I saw him signing membership documents to join the Economic Freedom Fighters. I'd like
Congratulations to him. Congratulations to him. It's been beautiful over the years to see political freedom, where you've got a lot of leaders who haven't been afraid lately to just... Back in the day, they used to call it floor crossing, right?
It was called floor crossing.
Yeah, but I think it's a good thing that anybody, whatever they feel whatever political party they feel like joining, they can just raise their hand and go join. Shout outs to Grootman Ubab Ringo Madlingozi as well. I know about, I think it was three years ago or just before COVID-19. He also joined the EFF.
He's a member of parliament now as well.
He's a member of parliament as well, you know. And people like him and people like Abu Putfana Mkwena is actually watching the first season of Yiza Yizo on Netflix.
Sure.
And I was checking him out there when he was still young. I don't know if you've watched it.
I know the scenes you're talking about because he's quiet in the class and he stands up to bullies.
Yeah.
Because I think he was part of Umkhonto Wesizwe when he's got this thing where he gets angry, character yakhe.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, I think he stands up to Papa action.
Yeah.
No chairs to take son. Brilliant actor. Smaza zu Dr. Stole or something on each generations.
And we also know him from having
Mandla.
starred with the late great Ntate Joe Mafela.
Yes.
Where he used to call him Brawongs. Yeah, man, Brawongs, you know. But just to see his evolution.
Yeah.
You know, to him, you know, playing a role in politics, serving his country. And also, I don't know if he's still the member of parliament.
I believe he's still a member because I was recently looking at if people go to, I don't know if it's parliament.gov.za or .co.za, but if you don't know who represents you in this country, you can go, just type in Parliament South Africa. There's a website there and you can see all your members of parliament, which political party, where they are based. I think it's fundamentally important that all of us get to know these people and get to hold them to account. So I think he's still on that website.
And it's incredible that, you know,
his name is not Ringo there. So in case you see a name, Brian or he looks like Ringo. Uput Ringo.
No, ukhuluma ngo Grootman Ringo or ukhuluma ngo Putfana Mkwena?
Bengikhuluma ngoput Ringo. I don't think ufana Mkwena. I don't think he's in parliament anymore.
Oh, okay.
I stand to be corrected.
But
Put Ringo still there.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say though is that at least there is that in the country where people now feel free to make whatever decision they want to make.
Yeah.
Even, you know, choosing whatever political party to join. So I really would like to congratulate Mkhukhu, Mzwanele Manyi. He's always been a very vocal voice that is unafraid to speak his mind. And he's been serving the country for many years, you know, as you've just mentioned, his resume and some of the organizations that he's been a part of. I'm looking forward to seeing how his journey unfolds with the EFF.
Yeah.
But I'm also incredibly inspired by how the EFF has become the EFF that we know today.
Sure.
I remember, and I was one of many people like everybody else who was listening when they were ruling out the results. I think they were even read out by Ntate Cyril Ramaphosa at the time before he became the president, when they were quoting or quoting Mr. Julius Malema. And I remember even in my mind at the time thinking, oh, this is not a great decision.
Yes.
This is not a great decision for the ANC. And the reason why I'll forever remember that, because I will always be inspired by his moves, because around the same time, I was also fired from the SABC.
Okay.
And having to be fired from the from the ANC and starting his own political party, I guess Amba Grootman or Ama time away to Abu Bablikota, Abu Bab Shiloh can tell you how difficult it is to start a political party and maintain it and grow it.
Yeah.
Same applies to a business. When I was fired at the SABC, obviously a lot of people, you know, made me a laughing stock, and a lot of people wrote me off, and a lot of people didn't think that I'll rise and become the person that I've become and grow my business to where it is today. Same as with Ntate Julius Malema.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of us actually believed that it will take the EFF to where it is today.
Yeah.
So for me, I look at it with a lens that says, anybody out there that wants to do anything, or anybody out there that thinks it's the end of their lives because maybe they've just lost out that big opportunity they've always had, or that big job that they've always had, or they feel they're down and out, like it's over for them, I just would like to send a word of encouragement and say, as long as you're still breathing, you always have got a chance to rise again and even become bigger than you've ever been. I mean, who would have ever thought that Julius Malema would be as big as he is now, not only in South Africa, actually even globally now.
100%.
Because when you go on the internet, you can see how many Europeans, how many Americans, how many African Americans speak highly of him.
Yeah.
So I think that should serve as a source of inspiration to all of us.
No, thank you. I once heard, before I met him, I think a couple of years back, Usizwe Mpofu Walsh, Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, talking about how a political party is just a vehicle that's meant to get us somewhere. At the time, I think he was an EFF member, or he just left the EFF, considering his father, Advocate Dali Mpofu, is a member of the EFF. And he was trying to explain to people that when we were fighting during the struggle, there was a destination we were trying to get to. And to this day in 2023, there's a destination we're trying to get to. And for the longest time, most people understood that the best bus, the best aeroplane to get into, to get there is the ANC. And he was saying, if at some point you realize that this bus, this taxi is not going where you think it's supposed to be going, there's nothing wrong in getting off and getting onto another bus. We are a very brand conscious and brand loyal nation. We believe in ShopRite, we believe in Simba Chips, we believe in Colgate, we believe in Jay's Fluid, we believe in these brands. So the ANC became a very strong brand. We look at the Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates as well. But if the brand is no longer serving your real needs, you're meant to leave it. So many of us could easily judge Mzwanele Manyi and be like, no, this guy seems to blow with the wind, number one. A lot of people criticize him on Twitter because they're like, too much curry with the Guptas, because the Guptas initially owned ANN7 and the New Age, and then there was vendor financing, and then they passed it on to him. And then when Ubaba Msholozi left the ANC and stepped down, he almost left with him and became a spokesperson of the Jacob Zuma Foundation. And it was like, no, the reason he's joining ATM is because they're trying to split the ANC and because they're part of the Zuma faction. And now with the joining of the EFF, it's like, is he doing it because he's really trying to serve? Is he doing it because if the EFF is the best party to get rid of the Ramaphosa faction, then let's do it. We don't know. All I know, and this is why I gave his credentials, is that he's been serving in corporate, in the public sector for many years. And I'd like to think, I don't know, that there's a destination he believes we should be going in as a country. A big part of it that he's passionate about is transformation in the economy. People like himself, Kandani Msibi as an example. And he feels the current ANC is not doing it. And maybe he's feeling like, because he did write on Twitter, he's not leaving the ATM on a bad note. He's not fighting for anyone or with anyone there. And he's hoping that even as he joins the AFF, he can help them build a partnership with the ATM. I think he's basically saying, look, this, because it's still almost like an Uno or a Tez, to quote my previous car. You know, the ATM is a Tez. Uno, baby. The real Makoya, ma Uno, na ma VW Beetle. So the ATM is a Tez, very reliable, very strong. It's got a very capable young leader, Vuyo Zumula. But Mzwanele is probably thinking, if we're trying to get to the promised land quicker, and I don't think the ANC is the vehicle, and I don't think the DA is the vehicle, let me maybe get onto another vehicle that looks like it's maybe moving faster, which maybe has aligned interests with the ATM and others. We're going to emancipate the black man. He also quotes to Karl Marx and communism, which is a conversation for another day. But the bottom line is, I want to say this because it's important for our hustlers and our squatters. You know your needs in your family and for yourself. Trying to get a good job. I'm trying to start a functioning business that is funded, that can serve the people. I'm trying to get my children a good education that upskills them and makes them human beings. I'm trying to have a dignified home and live in a dignified, clean community that is safe. Now the question for you as an individual is, what is the best vehicle to get me there? Number one, is it even a political party? Because maybe it's a civil organization. Maybe it's a church. Maybe if you join the Shembe Church or the ZCC Church, that'll be the vehicle. Maybe it's joining a certain company. Maybe if I start a business, a drip, that is actually going to be my vehicle for economic emancipation, for me to upskill people and to get a good education. And I think my last point is going to be this. With him, Ubabo Uputmani as an example, and using Uringo, Fana Mkwena, Herman Mashaba, Gaten McKenzie, Lindiwe Mazibugo, Musi Maimane, and all these guys as examples. We need to normalize public service. I was laughing with a mate of mine that I played touch rugby with, Umay Hlome Chwete, the son of the late Steve Chwete, who's a huge icon in politics. His mother is now a deputy minister. He was the DG at some point under Umalusi Kikaba. And I was like, when are you going back to serve the ANC? He's like, hey, Baba, I wasn't serving the ANC. I was working in government. I was like, yeah. When are you going back to work in government? And he's like, look, I've done my time. I've served. He's like, Mchana, when are you going to work in government? When are you going to serve and do your time? We need to normalize public service. Even if it's for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. All of us who have a voice, all of us who have something to share need to put our hands up. It may not necessarily be in government. It can be with a civil organization like Soweto Parliament and Tlantla-Lax. But you have to put your hand up and say, at some point, for a good 5 years, I put my head down and I said, it won't be about me. I will have my Mandela moment. I will have my Oliver Tambo moment, and I will go serve. Whether it's working in the local municipality, whether it's joining a political party and fixing their membership so it's done online and people can collect money, but I will do my bit. Because we need to normalize, and this has become my passionate thing. We need to, when you look at the 400 members in parliament, even if we cut it down to 200, we need to be able to point at all of those people and say we know them and we've seen their service. You want DJ Sbu there. You want Black Coffee there. You want Robert Marawa, Lucas Khatebe. You want Uba Patrice Mutsipe. You want Gloria Sirobe. There are certain people that you've seen the work they do. Herman Mashaba. You've seen, when this guy comes in, there's something he's going to do because he's got a track record. He's not going there just to sit and sleep and earn a salary and point of order. He's actually there to say, guys, I've been on the ground. I know how tough it is to build a business as a black person. So when you're going to come and tell me, no, but the policy is, hey, I'm a policy. I know the policies very well because I know how they discriminated against me when all my paperwork was intact. Lucas Khatebe will come and say, no, but the budget for sports development in this country needs to go here. No, but Lucas, no, don't tell me. I speak with kids every day about Dalitis, and I know what's lacking. So I'm coming here to serve. Black Coffee is going to come in and say, guys, I've traveled the world. You can't tell me about global what. I have traveled the world, and I'll tell you what other countries are doing right for their arts that we are doing wrong. So we need to normalize getting the most talented people to, even for 3 to 5 years, not for 50 years, not 94 to when a guy to Abase Parliament. No, 5 years of public service. Go and serve.
That was my point exactly when I did a video on serving the SABC, because I was addressing the question that I always get asked: would you go back to the SABC if you were to get asked? And obviously, it ended up being clipped, and other people ended up turning it into other agendas, etc. But that was my point. My point exactly was that I'm doing pretty okay on my own, and I'm on a journey of building, and it's a generational mission. It's a lot of work. But if there need be, or if the need arises, and my country calls me in to come and serve my country with all that I've ever known, all of my years and years of experience, to come and serve the SABC, which is obviously a part of one of the SOEs from part of the government, I'll gladly do so. And then I did say that the commercials have to be right. It will have to be a right deal. And with whatever I'm doing on my personal life, it has to be the right timing, let me say. But I will never say no when my country needs me to come and serve. That was my main point when I did a video like that. And I totally agree with you. I had a conversation with Touch as well when we were putting together Fired FM with Robert. Congratulations to Grootman Robert with his moves and his brand new show that is syndicated on all the different platforms. Proud of you, Putwami. Very, very proud of you. Mushum Sebenzi. DJ Fresh, congratulations with your new podcast. Joining us on the internet finally. Proud of you, Putwami. And my brother Touch. And as we're all contemplating on our next moves, Mina was like, okay, cool. The deal almost happened. We're just almost there. We almost did it. Fired FM. But anyway, let me move this way. Let me go focus on my Hustlers Corner podcast. Robert did a deal with Arena. Fresh, you can see, he's just joined us on the internet now, just started his new podcast. What a week. Congratulations with that one. And then Touch said the same thing. He's like, the reason why I went back to the SABC is because I feel I've got a lot of experience and I have to serve my country. And I kind of felt, let me go and serve my country.
Yeah.
And I was not mad at him. I was actually understanding of his reasoning.
Yeah.
And then, then you also have a lot of people who say, well, yeah, but this and that or whatever, but that's fine. So for me, I was coming from a point of exactly what you're saying.
Service.
No matter how well we are doing in our own careers, no matter how mad we are, maybe at the government, no matter how we feel personally, but I think there is a call for any and every South African who loves their country, who's patriotic at some point to serve their country. Even if it's not necessarily within a government department, it can be, as you're saying, within your community. But you must love your country so much so that sometimes you are willing to put other things on hold and just come and serve. I've been serving with my foundation for many years, and it's for the very same reasons, that because I love the youth, because because I love South Africa so much, that I will spend a lot of my time once or twice a week for a period of over 10 years, 15 years, going to different schools without getting paid, serving the youth of my country, serving the schools in my community, serving.
I want to come in and defend both sides, if I may. The first one I'm going to start with, because you've said your side, is Leah Yasizwe Dlomo, because he was the one on Twitter that started the talks around the clip that was shared of you. Sizwe Dlomo was almost saying, but it's not service to go get paid and work at the SAPC. And I understand where he's coming from, because I guess in his head, and maybe in other people's heads, the idea of public service is to work for free, which is very misleading and misguided. I don't think he was speaking to you directly. I don't know. I think he was speaking generally to say people mustn't think everyone who works at the SAPC is a servant, and everyone who works at government is a servant. Some people are there just for a salary. Some people are there just to sit. So I'd like to think, I don't know, because I've never spoken to him about it, that he was speaking to that. Not everyone who works in government, not everyone who works at the SAPC, not everyone who works in a government department somewhere is a servant. Some people are just there to make money, to chow tenders, whatever the case may be. Now, to defend your side, I want to say this to people that may not understand and who are on that side. People like DJ Sbu and Thibaut Touch, because of their vast experience, understand the financials of a business like the SAPC. And when they say things like, I would like to get this amount of money, it is not because they are greedy. It is because they know how much their slot is going to be generating. I think Ubaba or Mkhukhu, John Kani, Dr. John Kani has also spoken about some of these things. Once you understand how the business works, and you would be surprised to understand that a Thibaut Touch, a DJ Sbu, when they say, I'll only come work here for this amount, because they know the financials, that is even a discount of how much they meant to be getting. And that part now becomes part of the service. That I'll use hypothetical figures. I will only work at the SABC if you give me 100,000. Knowing very well that my show is going to be generating 1 million and that I should be making 200,000. Now, the 100,000 is to pay me what I'm worth, which becomes a lesson, not just for myself in the SAPC, but for even the production crew I'm going to be working with and all the kids. Good guys, you need to understand financials and make sure that you get your worth. Number two, the money that I get as a DJ Sbu, as a Thibaut Touch, as a DJ Fresh, as a Robert Marawa, I have other initiatives that I run. You want me to work for free doesn't serve those initiatives. And you must understand, outside of me coming to work here and get a salary, I'm bringing brands. I'm bringing advertisers. I'm bringing network. That R1 million you're going to be making in my slot is probably mostly going to even come from me. So a lot of us need to understand money and business and those things, to understand what these things are, because we have this thing called market related to salaries, but we don't know what that means. If someone's going to say, no, I'll only work for this much, we don't even know if it's a lot or it's a little, because especially abantu abamnyama in South Africa, you've become so used to earning peanuts that if someone as a radio DJ is earning 20,000 and then a veteran comes in and says, no, I'll only work for 80,000, you're like, this guy's greedy. You don't even know if he's underpaid, overpaid. You don't know if this person's underpaid, overpaid. You don't know the financials of how much they're making, and you miss the whole boat. So I just wanted to speak on that to cover both sides, because I know on Twitter, sadly, it's become this space where we're not even learning. Even when we disagree, you're meant to leave with education, but people are just there to bash and laugh and destroy and cancel. And I'm hoping that with platforms like ours, even in that moment, we can still extract some type of learnings from both sides, whichever side you decide to fall on.
And I think with that being said as well, shout outs to Caesar. Always said love for you, bro. And for people who are trying to instigate beef amongst myself and Caesar, get out of here, guys.
Get out of here, man.
I still love Caesar. I admire Caesar. And shout outs to you, bro. Keep doing your thing. And we've got a brand new mayor in Johannesburg. And congratulations to Kabelo, ne?
Ukabelo Kwamanda. Kwamanda.
Kabelo Kwamanda, congratulations.
Kwamanda.
You know when they say ezinye izinto ngendlela ezingayenzeka ngakhona ngagcina zikushoka nawe ngisho naye
Kabelo Kwamanda.
Kabelo Kwamanda is from the, what's the name of the party again?
Al Jamaa. It's a Muslim political party in Joburg that won 1% of the votes.
Congratulations, guys. Incredible work. And I just wanted to welcome our incoming mayor in Johannesburg. And hopefully you're going to serve longer than 100 days. And we're looking forward to your leadership. But as I wanted to say, sometimes, you know, I did an interview on the Hustlers Corner with Tutuzi Mabaso. The country will know him as Suffocate. He says how he came up, attend ama youth club asese intwana Ekasi bangana nix bangana nenyuku yama cheap, sometimes banokugazata ukuthi bashare bagawule. They eventually joined the youth club in Alex, and at some point he got an opportunity to join a very well-known agency which was led by now the late Munin Lee, may his soul rest in peace, who's represented some of the best in the industry.
MLA.
Yeah, MLA. Too dope of an agency. But he says he stayed for years at MLA without even getting auditions, not getting work. And he says there was one day where he was khatful. In the morning, he says he woke up. Go check out that interview. It's on the Hustlers Call. One of the best interviews I've ever done with any South African. He says he put a gun. And then he went to Munin Lee's office in Rosebank. And then he says he got to the receptionist trying to get in, and he can see Munin in her office. There's a glass there at the back behind the receptionist, and he's trying to get, the receptionist like, you don't have any appointment, you're not going to get in here. And then he's like, and he's got a gun here.
Yeah.
And he didn't say on the interview whether he was going to use that gun, but he just woke up that morning and said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm broke. I've been with this agency for so long. I just want to know, Wuti, are we going to continue, or what's going on with my future at that agency? Anyway, the receptionist refuses for him to eventually get in. He walks outside, and then now outside Ekasi, sometimes unokuzama amaplan atushase ngathi uyankauza uyangale ngase move ujump gate la ngada ngoba uyazi ukuthi office la kaMonini ngada libhekane ne swimming pool.
Sure.
And uzosishaya ngathi uyankauza ngathi is just walking around uyankauza uyazilula lapha ukuthi uMonini ambone.
Sure.
Athi vele uMonini uyambona lapha, hey, athi ambize yabona.
Sure.
Athi nakaqeda uyaround uyabuyela ngada to the reception side. Umonini akazi ukuthi ujump in gate ulijumpa back view uyabuya, so i-receptionist yamvulela manje uyangena uyohlala office noMonini. Athi the look that he had nakahleli lapha esitulweni akhuluma noma Munin Lee laphayana was a look of a man who was ukuyabona uhleli wenza inyawo lakho kanje.
Sure.
Umbhekile umama ukhuluma naye uyakhuluma athi kodwa lento ayishoyo uMonini angimuzwa. I'm giving her this look yokuthi Monini ngilambile. Dala ngilakule agents angithumeli kuma audition angina next. Angina ngisho nenyuko yokubuyela emuva edladleni. Athi inyuko yokuzwakala from Ekasi Alex necap ukuza nje eRosebank nayo itabalazile bekangana fokolo. Athi ubheke uMonini lo athi Maria mbona ukuthi noMonini nayo embarrassed. And athi in that conversation Monini goes to the fax machine. Monini pulls out some pages of a script. Monini gives him a script. Monini says, go read a role, Yagabanbani. And as a matter of fact, the auditions are now, as we speak, at Balfour Park. Ati hamba lapayana, at nakaqeda tshela uMonini ukuthi anginanyuko yokureya. Ati am-organizele, amgaya script. Ati nakamhaka, nakasakazophuma kanje. Umhaka athi le gani uyayibona ukuthi athi makahaga uMonini kanje le gani ifuna ukuwa.
Sure.
uMonini akayibonanga le gani athi njengoba beka lobe lahleli naye ringa naye kanje athi la and lobe uyayifihla kanje nase kamhaga sekazophuma le gani ifuna ukuwa.
Sure.
Athi ugcina sekamhaga ngesandla esiwa na balance le gani kanje because if le gani iwele phansi with the look that he had kuMonini.
Sure.
And uMonini knowing vele ukuthi le ntwana kudala ngayigaya ama audition.
Sure.
She easily would have probably freaked out. She probably would have called the cops.
Yeah.
Or something would have gone down.
Sure.
But anyways, the gun doesn't fall. And he manages to get into a taxi to go to Balfour Park. I don't know if it was the Sunny Studios or wherever they were shooting.
Yeah.
He gets there on set, and then Monini has already called them. Goes in quickly, bamfaka ku makeup, bafuna kumshintsha impahla, uyahala ngoba uyazi uphethe iganda
Sure.
and akafuni ukuyibeka ndawo ukuthi
Sure.
ngazithola abantu or anything baya make up lapho niyazitshela ukuthi alo audition le ngifuna ukuyenza lamagunsa because nakalobelaza ngeteksi he was just reading athi that's the fastest script I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
And I had to memorize this character's lines. Athi laphana seba athi from ukusuka Ekasi ngana ne New York area setexini kuyathukanwa to being treated like singer makeup iwa laphana sengibikwa athi le audition le is my chance out of poverty. Anyway, bayambiza nini zwakala ngara kuyashuthiwa yena uzitshela ukuthi ano isikhathi sami sokuthi nge-audition amanye eshaya ke le role siyagcwala ama lights laphana crew action athi i-co-star yakhe ezozwakala laphana azoshaya nayo le role nakathi tla an American international actor by the name of Don Cheadle. Athi awashaya lama line do John Cheadle mfana because he knows ukuthi lama line lawa these are the lines that are going to get me out of poverty. The way bekalambe ngakhona. Athi nakuceda lapho bathi cut, that's the one guys, let's move to the next what. Yena ba laphana uthi athi then he actually realizes that was not an audition. That was a role.
Shit. Because when you audition, you don't put on makeup.
And then he got a principal role that literally changed his life of an international movie. Then he ended up doing all these other local roles that we know. He became this suffocate Mr. Duduzi Mabaso that we know.
Sure.
But the lesson in that is you can wake up in the morning and think it's all over. And you can have that gun and put it in here, whether you're going to commit suicide, whether you think, you know what, I've had enough. And the next thing you know, by the end of the day, you are Johannesburg mayor. Congratulations, Putkabel.
I hate those stories. They're so beautiful. I'm listening to you. I'm getting goosebumps, but I hate them so much. Because what you're telling is the story of the black child. And I hate that story with all my heart because of what I've seen from the world. So I'll speak about Putkabelo, who takes over from Utapelo Ahmad, also from Al Jamaa. My plea to all the agencies out there, not just TV agencies, all agencies out there, recruitment agencies for Hispan and all what. If you guys are not going to make an effort for the talent you have, please let them go. Stop giving kids fake hope because maybe they paid some registration fee, and even after paying the registration fee, every few months you send them some ad for a workshop so that you can take more money from them, but you're actually not serious about creating opportunities for. Please let them go. Just stop it. You're selling fake hope to children and you're destroying them even further. That's the first part. And this is no shade to Munyan Lee, MLA, or any other agency in the country. There's a lot of them. But to all those agencies, to recruitment agencies, to other people that have got a database of people that every week are checking, let those people go. Send that painful message, email. I'm sorry, but right now we're focusing on something else. Please try somewhere else so that the child can let go and move somewhere else. Because Suffocate is clearly waiting at home, hoping and praying. We are Sontweni, we are Tandaza. I hope one day. Let them go from the agency part. Number two, if you do have talent on your sheet, please make an effort. Make an effort to find them work. It's the least you can do. It's what you get paid for. And some of the kids out there are going to change your life. You're going to become super rich because of a Suffocate that you were sleeping on. Because you'd rather focus on these three big cash cows of yours. They're great, but they were also nobodies at some point. Please focus on your talent. Focus on your talent. Bring them in once a week, every 2 weeks, every month. I say, how are you doing? Are you grand? What are you doing in life? Invest in your talent. These people are meant to make you money. They're your assets. I
have to say hi to somebody that I know quickly.
No stress, no stress.
I have not seen him in over 10 years, man.
My second message is going to be for the kids like Suffocate. Guys, there is a lane that we're all meant to be in. When I came to Joburg in 2018, I joined an agency at the time called DJs. It was in North Riding, I think close to Northgate. There was an agency, I don't know if it's still around, which was around Auckland Park called Zero to Hero. These agencies focused on being an extra. You're the guy in the back of a scene No one really sees you. No one notices. Unokuthola 5 clipper, unokuthola 8 clipper, which is 500 to 800 to sometimes 1,000 rand. You don't have any reading lines. No one cares about you. Those agencies focus on getting you some work all the time. Then from there, you move from being an extra to be what's called a featured extra. That's an extra that has maybe a line. They get to see your face. You come in, next say, don't cheat, it's teeny. And someone remembers you and you get a bit more money. Might be 2,000, 5,000, 7,000. And then you become a lead. That's when we star in a commercial or on TV. You're getting 10,000, 15, 20, 30. It doesn't matter. But there's various lanes. And what I hate about some of these agencies is they sign kids as leads that haven't built up a track record. And that's why even when you go to audition, no one is going to sign you. Because they want to know Mzamombata. They want to Stumom Chali. They want to Khamna Tandala. They want to Pel Chus. They want the known stars because they know the known stars already have people that are fans. We are meant to follow a track record. But an agency, because it's holding you, won't release you or won't send you to lower agencies so that you can build your way up and build your portfolio. I moved from DJs doing extra work. I became a featured extra. I moved from there and I joined Gano in Auckland Park. There are other agencies, legends. There's thespians, there's contractors, there's Abo MLA. Those guys normally do the leads and all those guys. They're not supposed to take you as a nobody and take your money and ask you to come to my workshop and pay more new. They're meant to be like, look, go do other work. Today we've got this bad boy, this thing. You're a young kid and you can say, no sizweni, usetrecha, usemlazi, usekukulet. You're a young kid, you've got this bad boy. You've got Instagram, you've got Twitter, you've got Facebook, you've got YouTube. You put up this thing here. You don't need a script. You can go watch Usafo on ETV somewhere. Watch whatever he's doing. I've seen some of these kids on TikTok about Nubuga Upu to Israel. And some of the clips that he play, I think, on Ikomora. And then literally, word for word, copy him. Yeah. You do those things. You come up with monologues. Come on. You've got Denzel Washington. King Kong ain't got shit on me. You go and you put your phone up in your room and you do those monologues and you get them to trend on social media. We watch, we like, we share. Trust me, the agencies and everyone is going to see you. And even if they're not seeing you on YouTube, you're going to get paid for your talent. Don't wait and become desperate, because this story, why I hate it, is because it could have gone either way. Usafo, we don't know his mental state. He could have pulled the gun and today he's in prison. He could have pulled the gun and maybe hurt someone. Because there are guys that get so desperate. You've seen John Q with Denzel Washington, who pulls out a gun, he holds a hospital hostage because he's trying to get a heart transplant for his child.
Just like Kabelo Tiberi at the Home Affairs. When he was sick and tired of not getting his ID.
There's a movie, I don't know if it's called Lirato, of a father who's trying to access his daughter. You get so desperate, and I hate these stories because, yes, they are the reality. They're the story of a black child, but we don't have to do things like that if we can get better education. And if people can do their job, and if people can do the right thing, and if we can try and give you better advice, because we've gone through these things. If you think my CV every day, you're wasting money on internet cafe, you're wasting money on printing a CV, no one gives a fuck. The most important thing is to build relationships, and in little things you can do, to volunteer, to spam, to use your phone. And when people come to you, you can be like, sorry mama, this is me. I've got 200,000 followers on TikTok. These are my videos. Oh, I didn't know. Now you know. Get me work. If you're not going to get me work, release me to go to another agency so they can get me work. And again, I'm going to call out the agencies, including recruitment agencies. You guys have all these CVs and you're sitting, farting around when there are kids that sit every day. Sister Andy, Butemba. Those kids pray for you every day. I hope Sister Andy uzongicabanga namhlanje. I hope Butemba yazi some uzofaka CV yami. Kanti wena uhlele espanini ubhize canteen uyadla. Awunendaba. Because when ukrend, cut that child off and set them free so they can go and find their dream somewhere else. That's why I hate these stories, because they get me so emotional and we're lying to each other. But Kabelo, I wish you the best of luck with your new role as the mayor of Johannesburg. Utapelo Ahmad never made it to 100 days. Motion of no confidence. There was some loan scandal. He wasn't good in interviews. A lot of people sadly are expecting the same from Uput Kabelo, which is kind of sad. The reason I don't like this story, and this has got nothing to do with Uput Kabelo. We have got coalition governments now in Johannesburg and in other parts of the country. And some people are preempting coalition governments in the national elections in 2024. Our political parties are so arrogant, are so self-centered. They refuse to put the people first. They refuse to put their agendas and egos aside to serve. This goes back to the why. We've seen with the ANC that is uncompromising. They want their candidates at front, even if the candidate is not the best. That's the ANC that we know that we've become frustrated with. The DA, which punts itself as the best opposition, is doing the exact same thing. They had an opportunity to put forward Ufunzi, I'm not sure Ufunzi's surname, of Action SA as the mayoral candidate in Johannesburg, and they refused. They were saying it's Dr. Mpo Palazzi or nothing. They absolutely refused. Dr. Mpo Palazzi, an amazing woman who was doing amazing work as the mayor of Johannesburg before. ANC obviously had, I think it was Udada Morero, who was supposed to come in. It's our candidates or nothing.
And I think PA had Kenny Kunene.
Gayton McKenzie and the PA wanted Kenny Kunene to come forward. Everyone wants their candidates. Eventually the ANC and the EFF, because they had the swinging vote, they were like, we will get a compromise candidate. They did it with Utapelo. They're doing it now with Ukabelo. Now, I'm saying this because Utapelo and Ukabelo are not the best candidates. They're not the people's favorites on the ground. That's the fact. We don't know them. We don't know who they are, what they stand for. People don't know what the Al-Jama'a is. They got a 1%. They could be amazing, but unfortunately, they haven't been given a chance. Now, to what Usbuda's saying, this becomes your Rocky moment, to put Kabel. Rocky Balboa, if you watch the first Rocky, was given a gamble, a lottery where he had to find Apollo Creed, who now Michael B. Jordan plays as his son in the latest Creed movies. And he took that and he owned it. When you're in that taxi and you're revising the script and you're getting a chance to stand in front of Don Cheadle. And Rocky Balboa, I think he loses that fight, but in the way he fights, Tapelo Ahmad let himself down. He let Al-Jama'a down. Uput Kabelo now has a chance to be like, I will go and study policy. I will go and practice. I will make sure when I rock up to interviews, people are like, Ekse. People had written off for Herman Mashaba. What does Herman Mashaba know about running Joburg? He came, and to this day, people are, hey, it's Funu Mashaba. Dr. Aaron Mzwanele, what Gayton McKenzie is done with a half a chance. Eminem calls it one shot in 8 Mile. You only get one shot. He did it with the Karoo. You've got one shot to now prove it. And from us, we congratulate you, even though you are almost a compromise candidate. We congratulate you because this is historic. You're going to go down in the history books. But now is your chance to shine and say, what can I do for the city of Johannesburg so that I am memorable? One thing. You only have to do one thing. Now, from my side, I want to say this. Johannesburg used to be the center of the African continent's economy. We were the center of the African universe. Any foreigner that wanted to invest in Africa needed to start in Johannesburg. We need leaders to put their hands up and to run Johannesburg. Not through political channels, because we can see the political parties are so arrogant. But through a civil organization, through a company. Go out there. I remember the LES called himself the King of the North. Self-proclaimed. Go out there and say, Inkosi yamabhinqa, ungizwe Mkhukhu. Put your hand up and say, I'm going to be the King of Joburg. Self-appointed. If there's anything that needs to be done at Jozi, I'm there. Nhlanhla put his hand up and said, I'm going to run Soweto. The people of Soweto didn't vote and said, no, these are the candidates. When the ANC, when the EFF, okay. Nhlanhla said, Soweto Parliament, Commander's Morning, and he was there. And he's doing it. We need someone who's going to come and own Joburg. We need a Batman who's going to treat Joburg like a Gotham City and say, this is my city. Nothing will happen without my say-so. I will not have illegal foreigners hijacking buildings. I will not have potholes. I will not have unemployed people. I will not have squatter camps. I will lead. I will lead Joburg. And if anyone is unsure, Zanzobuza Mina, we will raise the funds. We will throw those people out. If you look at some of the work Mandisa Mashiko was doing when she was still part of the EFF in Alex, making sure people get homes, making sure people get their services. Who's leading Joburg? If I was to ask you one person, and you were to tell me, no, the person that I know, politics or no politics, party or no party, this is the leader of Joburg. Anytime, we've got the mayor of Sandton, Malcolm X. Who is the leader of Joburg? We need that. Even if it's 5 people, at any given time, you're like, man, sorry, Mamzo, we're stuck. We don't know what's happening. And that person, when they get up, they call them Mama Action or maybe Papa Action, which we know something is going to happen. And we have to do it at some point. We're going to have to rise up and lead. I hope, Putkabelo, we're counting on you to make an impact. Impact, it doesn't matter how small, because what happens from here, even if you get recalled, we are watching you and this is your life. Some point in future, we must remember you. Herman Mashaba has now set up Action SA. He got that one shot in the DA. He was made a compromise candidate in Johannesburg. Look at what he did. Kabelo, let us remember you. And if you need help from the people of Johannesburg, get on social media and be like, hey, people of Johannesburg, I'm not really sure, but let's come together. Tell me what the issues are. Help me, help you. If there's a problem somewhere, let's help. And I will be honest, I was placed here by the ANC and EFF. They might have their own agendas, but I'm here to serve you. Give me a chance to serve you so that even if I'm removed here, I will not stop serving. Tapelo Ahmad has got an opportunity now to continue serving. It's up to you what you do with that role and that position, but we wish you the best of luck and we'll see what happens from here.
Major League DJs invited me to one of their shows on their North American tour last year. I ended up having to be in the US for 4 months, doing multiple shows, registering Mofaya with the FDA, opening up other opportunities, and I've actually just recently signed another big opportunity in the US, which I can't announce now. We'll announce when the time is right in the next couple of weeks. But that just came from just that one moment where Major League said, come through with us, just on that one show. And I never looked at it as just one show. And I even mentioned it on that episode. I was like, I hope Major League knows what they're doing just by inviting me on just one opportunity. And for me,
wrong.
you know what I mean? And it's like they knew Grootman deserves it because we know he's gonna come here and F shit up, you know? And that's exactly what I did. And I just want to reiterate on Penuel's message to Uput Kabelo and say, this is your suffocate Don Shiddle moment. This is the reason why you joined politics. This is the reason why you decided to serve this country. Probably there might never be another chance like this. So show us what you got, Putwambi. Show us what you've got. Right now, we need a you more than ever before. We've had all these other people that we know. Show us who you are. Show us why you are chosen. Show us why you are you. And for me, I'd like to congratulate you once again, my brother, and say, as he was saying about Eminem's song, you only get one shot. You only just get that one shot. And this is that one shot. Don't be scared. Don't be intimidated. Serve your people and show us who you are. People like myself would actually love to see, we root for the underdogs sometimes. You know, and we want to see change on the ground in our city. We love this city. We grew up in this city. We built ourselves in this city. We built everything we know, everything we have. We built ourselves to become the most biggest people we could ever, the highest ladders that we could ever climb to be where we are today because of this city. You've got people like Abu Penuel who come from Manyi Castle. I've been in the city all my life. And that's why I'm so passionate that an underdog has just been chosen. Use that moment and say, EFF or ANC or whatever party, you are my Major League. You don't know who you've just elected onto this position. I'm about to change the game for life, forever. And not just for myself as Kabelo, but for the entire people of the city of Johannesburg. I'm about to emerge as the most amazing person that is going to be remembered in history forever. I think that this is that moment for you.
I don't think we're going to have time, and I'd like to ask you...
No, we will, bro. We will. Don't cut it off.
I'd like to ask you on camera if you can indulge me on another platform to discuss Mofaya and Prime for 45 minutes to an hour, undisturbed. You can think about it. You don't have to commit now.
Okay.
But not for myself.
Yeah.
Not for myself. You and I know that the work we're doing is bigger than us. I've been on Twitter the whole week, the whole of the last 2 weeks, dealing with the whole Prime Mofaya thing. Many people sending me DMs and suggestions. I was put in a WhatsApp group that my brother Penson set up, Black Media Excellence, with 900 people that are in media, criticizing Mofaya's marketing strategy and all these things. I want us to unpack the whole thing. I want us to talk about the whole thing. I want to contrast Prime and Mofaya. I want us to educate people on the differences. I want us to educate people on some of the discrimination that we get from our government, some of the discrimination we get from the business platforms in this country. I want us to speak about the discrimination we get from customers, the ordinary man, and what it means when I always say voting at the ballot is one thing, but voting with your money and with your labor is more important. Because we speak now about reparations. We want reparations. King Charles got coronated on the 6th of May. Reparations, we want the Cullinan diamonds back. Those are our diamonds that Thomas Cullinan in South Africa, big miner, sold. Sold them for 150,000 pounds back then. The argument is that the biggest diamond there is worth 3 billion rand on its own. Nina noma ngayithola le 15 billion. Kuyafana ngoba ngizoyibuyisela mos. So what's the point? What's the point of wanting things back when you're going to give them back? Anyway, so I'd like us to unpack on that. I'd like us to close off for the last two topics outside of Mofaya and Prime. Your feelings around the coronation of King Charles and what that means today. I know we spoke about it at some point, especially with the passing of Queen Elizabeth. And then the second thing is, I think it's on a lighter note. Miss South Africa introducing married or allowing married women to join, allowing women that are mothers to join, and as we've seen, allowing transgenders to join.
I think with King Charles, I don't feel anything.
Are you gonna consider?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can do that.
It's important for the South African youth, for the hustlers and the squatters, especially for me and you to have this conversation, for me to challenge you, for me to criticize you, for me to hold you to account, for me to ask the tough questions so that you can answer to them and explain exactly the victories, the losses, and why certain brands move a certain way and why Mofaya doesn't. Anyways, thank you, sir.
No problem.
King Charles.
I think with King Charles, I don't feel anything. I don't have any opinions on it. And I think just like majority of black people all over the world, anytime, the Queen or King Charles's names are being mentioned, like ngathi ngiyathunukala, kuyabona na unesilonda. Or noma mhlawumbe umuko walahlekelwa abantu abathandayo beke babulawa abantu abathize nakukhulunywa ngabo it's like ngathi uyathunukala. So it's like for me grand futhi ngiyadineka ngifuna ukukhuluma nangaye.
There was a request led by Jamaica and 12 other ex-British colonies by the indigenous people there, including New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and others. They are requesting King Charles to apologize for genocide and for colonization as the beginning of the discussion for reparations. Jamaica's looking to move to become a republic for the first time. Many people, I was shocked and disappointed. Dr. Jordan Peterson, Tristan Tate, the brother of Andrew Tate, tweeted, King Charles must not apologize. He must never apologize. Number one, he must never apologize for what happened in the past when he was not there. Number two, a king should never apologize to their subjects and those kind of things. And the number of comments, white people around the world, and a lot of black people saying, why must King Charles apologize? For what? It wasn't him. And if anything, they benefited. Now, part of that story was, it was the British Royal Navy back in the 1800s that started the work to end slavery. Slavery as a business, which took them decades to actually get right. Many of their soldiers were killed. I think 1,600 slave ships were eventually called in. They freed over 150,000 slaves. But even in all that, I'm like, this sounds like F.W. de Klerk getting a Nobel Peace Prize, which he did, which he shares with Nelson Mandela. And I'm like, I understand why people get triggered when I speak about apartheid. I understand why people get triggered when I say the land was not stolen, but we were conquered. But I try to explain, the same way you're explaining now. I try to explain because I understand abantu abamnyama, we're so hurt, we're so traumatized that if someone is not sticking to script, it's like they sell out. And it's like I'm trying to explain something to you because I realize that the script that you've been singing, the hymn book you've been singing from is not getting you what you want. And maybe if I change the wording, maybe something will eventually click in your head. I don't know if King Charles is going to apologize. Even if it does, I don't know if it's going to be reparations. I think of white Afrikaans people in this country and British people in this country who have never apologized for apartheid. And I remember making this example, and a lot of black people caught feelings. And I was like, I understand why you're catching feelings, because you guys are not comfortable with the truth being told in this way. You want to miss Zulu, Kazwelithini, to stand on a platform and to apologize for Ushaga consolidating the Zulu empire and the fact that some people died along the way. Yes, it was not colonization. Yes, there was no exploitation of labor, and there was no milking of your resources and selling them. Yes, your people, when they were consolidated into the Zulu kingdom, were not treated as second-class citizens. We were consolidated into becoming one empire. But I need you to understand that psychology, because that's what the Queen, I think it was Victoria at the time, that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to create a British empire around the world where all of us speak English, where all of us, God save the Queen, God save the King, where all of us are working, and like a President Thabo Mbeki with his pipe and his good English, studying at the London School of Economics, with the Cyril Ramaphosa who sits with King Charles and he says, wow, and we are so honored, King Charles, for the invite. They wanted us to assimilate to them so that we walk around like some of the Nigerians in Britain and those types of places and say, look, I'm British, and be proud of it and say, I'm part of this great empire. That's what they wanted. And I want you to understand that when you're hurt and when you want to fight back, that's the psychology they had. And you want them to apologize when they are going to say, but you are proud Zulu today. But you are part of the tribes that we conquered. You are a proud English-speaking person today. You go around boasting that you understand English and that you live in the suburbs and that Johannesburg is developed and that your kids go to a Saint Banban. That's thanks to us and us colonizing you. Otherwise, you'd still be in the bush, naked, hunting for buck, struggling. That's their thinking. You wouldn't have this electricity you complain about with load shedding. We brought you power. You still be making fires and fetching water from the river. Once you understand the mindset of a colonizer, if ever you want to destroy, colonize, dominate, Sun Tzu speaks about it. The strategies of war speak about this thing. You need to get into the mindset of your enemy, which is what the Chinese and the Russians have done so well with the West. Otherwise, you'll never conquer them. As long as you're thinking you stole our land, you'll never get the land back. You need to realize you were conquered. Once you accept it, accept us shaile. Because when you say stolen, you go to the police station, hey, they stole, and the police are there like, no, sir, but where's your title deed? No, sir, go and report to the United Nations. It's this whole joke. But once you understand, it's like, say, they conquered you. You're like, oh, that means I must conquer them back. It changes the whole conversation. Now, all of a sudden, black people are not begging for land. They're like, stop begging. Go get it. These people never came here and begged and asked, and they didn't come at night and then they stole our land and then it's gone. They did it in front of our faces, and you will have to go in front of their faces and tell King Charles to his face, it's, hey, Baba. Hey, Baba. And you must stand for it, and you must be willing to lose lives, which we're not willing to do. And that conversation is the most difficult conversation for Utaki today. And when Upeno raises it, as a paying member of AfriForum, no Rob Hessoff, and I'm called the sellout, when I'm trying to be the guy to actually wake them up, do you realize when I sit with the people you hate, I fully understand their psychology and their mindset. And if anything, it's a conqueror's mindset that the Zulu kingdom has. And if you're not going to have that thing of mina ngumZulu, mina ngibone ngikhuluma lamalimi engawezwa kahle uthi uthini? Khuluma baba. That superiority mindset, if you don't have it, and you think you're always going to beg, no, men won't give us a chance in the working space. It is always because you sound like a victim. Which man is going to take you seriously begging every day? Go dominate the man. Take your money and buy from a female-owned business. And let the men be the ones to complain. Women are taking our jobs and blah. You sound weak. You're fighting with a woman. You're weak. That means women are conquering you. And that's the whole mindset that I want us to have.
So, I beg to differ. Get the camera on me.
Hey, yo, turn up my headphones.
So the first thing I'd like to say is that they stole. I repeat, they stole the books from the Library of Alexandria, and then they burnt it. And then they made us believe that all of this civilization, all of this whole world that it has, that we have, is some civilization that was brought outside of this continent and were civilized. And we're not told of the truth. And the truth is that we've always had all of this incredible knowledge. We've always had all of this amazing spiritual knowledge. We've always had these amazing gifts that we have. And it's never been within us to be vile, to be killers, rapists, conquerors, as Penuel would put it. And you need to remember as well, Uguti, the English language is not of our language. But we mustn't forget history, that those books were stolen. And in history right now, if you go to high school kids, they're going to tell you about Aristotle. They're going to tell you about Pythagoras. They're going to tell you about all of these heroes that in real life you and I both know, those that have gone down through that rabbit hole of history. Uguti, those are just all lies. We all know where the real heroes come from, which continent they come from. And you and I have been brainwashed to keep on focusing on this history of us being slaves and us being conquered. For me, I beg to differ and say, what about the history before the 1500s, way before then? Why don't we have images and videos and stories of us as leaders, of us as kings and queens, of us as liberators and civilizers of the whole world? Because we really are. And it is a conversation for another day. And yes, tunuga. Nami yang tunuga, yang bona nami nyatinega nje. I'm one of those people nokhwenyela nakakhuluma ngokuthi siyamkwatela nami vele nje uyangidina nakakhuluma kanjalo ngoba ngiyakwata futhi ngiyathunukala. Kodwa hayi ukuthi ngikwatela yena umfowethu nje lo. Kodwa ngikwatela nje ngendlela abasenze sacabanga ngakhona. Nokuthi basiconvince nokuthi noma sikhuluma nabaphansi noma sithandaza ngesilungu bazokuzwa kanjani abaphansi uma ukhuluma ilume ekungasiyo lakho. And nalento eyiningi eyigcwele, others call it, it's a longer and bigger conversation because it also involves scholars and historians and all of these different things. But maybe just to nip it in the bud and just leave it here for me is I'm not impressed. I'm less interested. I don't even want to talk about King Charles right now. And I just want to say rest in peace to all the millions and millions and hundreds of millions of Africans that have died all over the world in history.
We'll close it there. Miss South Africa on a lighter note.
Oh yeah, Miss South Africa on a lighter note.
You don't need to take a deep breath. Sorry, for those of you who don't understand English, apologies. I know we'll, at some point when we have Manyi, we'll get subtitles. But there was a point where Usbu was saying, even when we speak to our ancestors, we speak in English. And our ancestors don't understand English. It's not a language that is within us. And that's how we've been brainwashed. He was touching on some of those topics when he was speaking passionately in one of our South African languages.
Exactly, and you can't even go around and say we are bragging to be speaking English. Yes, it was forced upon us, but we do know also that English is also a language that casts spells. It's another conversation for another day. But on a lighter note, I am excited about, I'm always excited about young people getting opportunities.
Yeah.
Because those opportunities open doors for them. I was once that young person. I entered for the Castle Loud auditions. I didn't make it. I was runner-up, but that opened bigger doors for me. I entered for the Tropica Voice of the Future competition at YFM. And I became a voice of the future then. And now we are in the future. 20 years later, I'm DJ Spoo. I didn't even win that competition then. I was a runner-up, but it opened doors for me to be where I am. I'm one of those young people that emerged through these competitions. I used to be an MC Ekasi, Saktora Mashwabana, Naboma Silky, Ngenkadzabuma Boys to Men, Naboma Shy, Naboma All for One. You guys remember those groups, Mustan? Sasha Ama Eskel and Kate Kasuiti, Hitema Olweni, MC Alapanakbo Mr. Tembisa. The guy that owns a brand called, I think he had done a collaboration with Usis Makazi, with Coco Vola Sneaker, my brother Semi Mhale. His brand is called Kicks, right? When are we dropping that episode, bro? Please drop that episode. Semi's being mad at me. But anyway, shout out to Semi. He was Mr. Tembisa at some point. One of the most amazing, one of the most successful business people in this country is a brother called Paul Pume. At some point, he was Mr. Soweto. One of the most amazing, iconic music figures in this country. Grootman Atamafugate. He was Mr. Soweto at some point. One of the most amazing, successful South Africans. At some point, they might not necessarily have won a competition, but they either made it as a runner-up or top 3 or top 5. So you might not necessarily have to win a certain competition, but just the fact that you're given a chance to participate, it might just open doors for you that you could have never imagined. For me, Uguti, now it's being opened for married people, transgenders. I think that's a conversation that other people will handle. But my passion for young people says I love all young people. And if there's an opportunity for a door to be open even bigger and wider or even longer and more inclusively so, for more younger people to get opportunities to ascend or to rise and grow their careers and become the Penuel, the Black Pens of the future, the Penson Blochers of the Black future, of the future, the Bonangs of the future, the Michalis of the future, I always get excited because our passion is about encouraging young people and seeing them grow. I think that's my 2 cents.
You don't want to say your piece?
That is my piece.
On them introducing married women, mothers, transgenders?
That's why I'm saying all of you guys are going to handle that conversation.
You don't want to say...
I'm just happy the door is more open now. It's more inclusive. More younger people get to participate. And
I went on the Miss South Africa website, and if you ever get a chance, please go check it out, missa.co.za. And there's a link there called former title holders, and you can go all the way back, boy. Hey, that it goes all the way back to the 1950s.
Jesus,
it's crazy. So go check that out. I wanted to send a shout out.
And maybe let me also throw in there Umama Basetsana.
Yes.
Khumalo.
So I wanted to start off with the first non-white Miss South Africa was Amy Kleinans in 1992. Sending a shout out to her. The first Black African Miss South Africa was Jackie Mkhukhu in 1993, followed by then Umama Basetsana. We've had Peggy Sue Khumalo, who's gone on to be a successful businesswoman. Karishni Naika, I think, was the first Indian. I think when you see it, I know you guys won't see it here, but when you see it, I want to get to the end. Uzozibini came with short hair. And then we had Shuduvatso Musida, who came in bald. That was also a huge game changer. And how the pageant has changed and how the look of beauty has changed. I don't know if we've necessarily had a plus size Miss South Africa, but I know there have been some women who have been a bit bigger. So the celebrating of different types of beauty, different types of hair. Maybe we're going to get shout out to Alicia Keys, a Miss South Africa that doesn't even wear makeup. A Miss South Africa that maybe walks barefoot. An ex-mate of mine, a friend of mine, ex-varsity colleague, Itumeleng Palindlela. His mom was, Nosimo, I think, Palindlela. She was the premier of the Eastern Cape. She used to walk around barefoot, very passionate about her Xhosa heritage and culture. Celebrating a Miss South Africa that maybe dresses just in traditional clothing. I think we're moving in that direction, and it's a beautiful thing. Now, on the other side, well, let me finish off on the positives. What DJ Spoo is alluding to is what happens when you are given a platform. You do not need to win. Some of our favorite musicians today never won idols. They were in the top 10 or top 5 that they never won, and they became superstars. So you just take that, Kabelo, Kwamanda, the new mayor of Joburg, Rocky Balboa, Eminem, that one shot. They're like, I just want them to see me. Just see me. And then from there, I blow up. So I hope all the contestants are going to use that platform. And anyone who knows beauty pageants will know it is not just the show that we watch. There's a huge buildup of community service, campaigning on social media, making videos. If you're a young lady and you may be nervous to speak, there's platforms like Toastmasters, but this is also a great opportunity to learn how to speak. Hi guys, I'm Penny and I'm running from South Africa. I do work, I'm from Newcastle, and it does a lot to build your confidence, and you get to network with young ladies from across the country. And you become part of this fraternity, because this becomes a fraternity where you are like, I'm part of people like Mamba Setsana Khumalo, Mam Peggy Sue. I'm part of that network, and you must use that to your advantage. Dr. Musa Ntombeni has married an ex-Miss South Africa, Liesl Laurie. You know what I mean? So you use these platforms to do something, to network, etc. I need to send a short shout out to Lisigo Tibane, who is now Mrs. Lisigo Nkuna, who is running for Mrs. South Africa. Now I can go into the negative. Ulisikho, I studied with her at Rhodes University. She's always been modeling since she was young. She's from Pretoria. We need to be careful of becoming too inclusive. This is where it gets tricky now, because we're in an age of transgender, genderless, my pronoun, identity. And look, we're going to make sure, because we know social media and we know YouTube is not our mother's house. So we need to tread carefully. We need to be careful about being too inclusive to a point where we almost disregard other platforms. South Africa has got a Mrs. South Africa, and you can go to their website, which celebrates married women. And I think, personally, we should be encouraging Mrs. South Africa to maybe even be bigger than Miss South Africa, because Mrs. South Africa represents a married woman. We live in a country where we need to reclaim the family. So we want to celebrate a woman who is married with her husband. And many times she has children. So Mrs. South Africa represents a beautiful, intelligent woman who is a wife, who is a mother, who is maybe a career woman. And what does that look like? Because Miss South Africa is celebrating, or is meant to be celebrating, young girls. Beautiful young girls who are still, Miss South Africa is meant to graduate into, one day I want to be a Mrs. South Africa who is married with my own family and my own home. Now you're taking that away and you're stealing that, and you're saying married women must now come here to a Miss. By definition, a Miss is an unmarried person. So now do we change the name to MS, Ms, which is inclusive of married and unmarried? That's the first part. I don't support bringing married women in, because we have a platform called Mrs. South Africa that should be celebrated. Mothers, we have Mother's Day, which is coming up now in May. We love our moms. We love all the mothers. Mama. We should be having maybe a mother's pageant, which celebrate mothers and says, Mama, you sit with your mom, because we grew up with our mother. We used to watch Miss South Africa, sing a phone. We'd watch and we'd always cheer on. My favorite is Miss KZN. Hey, no, Miss Cape Town. Hey, uzanga masimba. It's really answer yake mabebuza. What do you think of what?
Tupperware.
Yo, Tupperware.
Those who get the joke get it.
Kotlanu Steve Harvey. I think Steve Harvey owns a stake now in Miss Universe. I'm not sure, whatever. You want to sit with your mother and say, Mama, it's the mother pageant. I don't know if whatever we'd call it. They're celebrating moms, and the moms come in. Mom, what have you done for the community? What are you doing for your children? So that the mothers now emulate. We are Kumbula, the mother of 2021. You remember the mother of 1998? Kwaku Mambani. She told us that when they asked about disciplining kids, this was her answer. And it has changed the way we discipline our kids. You remember when Umambani of 1996 came and said, no, Mina, I am here to represent Mama during the struggle. And you're like, yo, we speak about Umamwini today. These are the mothers. Mam Miriam Makeba. These were the mothers. And you're like, can we not have something like that for Mama? And not take away from young varsity girls, teens who want to compete. Leave the girls alone. Yes, you want to be inclusive, but to what end? Miss South Africa already ends at age 30, which I think is old. Should be like 25. And then after that, it can be something else. And then we're speaking career. How do you balance your career? Yeah, you're speaking to a child who's, I'm studying a BCom at the University of what. Oh no, I've just finished my high school. I've started. That's what the whole pageant was about. Then we come to this sensitive thing of transgender. Ngangizalwe nguPenuel Mlotshwa Newcastle ngumfana okhulile insizwa yakwaZulu. I was born a young man in KZN as a young boy, and now at the age of 22, 23, I want to identify as a woman. In the world we live in, it's allowed. Not only do I want to identify as a woman, I want you to see me as a woman. And now beyond that, when there is funding put for women, I want to access that funding. When there's a job opportunity for women, I want to be seen for that job. When there's a pageant to celebrate the beauty of women, I'm saying, no, don't leave me out. Why are you leaving me out? I identify as a woman. And I think it may have been 2021, the Miss SA pageant had their first transgender finalist. I do not understand. I just made the example of Mrs. South Africa. I made the example of creating a pageant for mothers. We can have a Miss Transgender. That can be your thing. And you celebrate. And we'll watch. Why muhle so? Hey, are you sure you're out there? But at least we know it's your pageant. Now imagine a woman wanting to come into a Mr. South Africa, which is an underappreciated platform, by the way. We should be having that conversation of why is Mr. South Africa not appreciated? What are we saying about the men in this country? What are we saying about Father's Day? Father's Day is number one. I mean, it's a celebration that I think is rubbish. I don't celebrate it, and I'll explain to you one day why. But why are we not celebrating our fathers the way we should? And why on that day are we not saying, if you're an absent father, if you're not there for your kids, but wait, this is your day to speak out. Come let it all out and explain why you're not seeing your kids. Let us help you so that next year you are with your kids. I can't celebrate Father's Day. I haven't seen my child. Oh, okay, that's sad. Use this day to tell your story. Let us help you connect with your kids so that next year you're telling us a different story. Now you've got women that want to come into this space. No, I want this funding for this. No, I want to. I think we lose the essence of why we set up these things. We were trying to celebrate young women and the beauty of young women, and we were trying to create a standard so that the young girls out there who are not contestants in Miss South Africa are like, this is the benchmark. Zozibini Tunzi is the benchmark. I should be proud of having short natural hair and feel beautiful. She represents me. I should be proud of having no hair and saying, even if I have no hair, I know Sisu, Ubahalo sis manomuhle, Pony Mbuli. She was pony hair at some point. At some point, she was rocking the short hair. And we were like, this is beautiful. Sis nonikasa. There, you're like, this makes me happy. I'm happy to, beautiful woman. If a guy out there is going to be like, I'm a man, but I don't have big muscles. I'm a man, but I don't have a deep voice. But I've built an amazing business. I'm an amazing father. Maybe I have a high-pitched voice. Maybe I speak in a certain way that is not manly, but I represent men who are a certain way, but I'm still a loving husband and father, and I'm still a man in society. And other men like me can be like, oh, I can be a loving man and a father without a deep voice. I'm not tall. I'm not dark. I'm not muscular. I didn't play rugby, but I still feel represented. But now we're going to take some of those things and we're saying, no, you can be anything. Me, now, Penwelling, now 37. Why can't I run for Miss Teen SA? I want to be Miss Teen. I identify as a 16-year-old girl. Recognize me. I'm there with my hairy legs. As Miss Teen, I think what must happen for young girls like myself, we must fight GBV guys. They are attacking us. And, what exactly are you representing? It really steals the shine of the people we're meant to be representing. We are going to be getting white South Africans today who recognize themselves, who identify as black people that were oppressed under apartheid. And they want to get full BEE points. And they want to get funding for black people. And they want to be ticked as, no, I'm part of the transformation in this country. I can maybe speak a little bit of Zulu. And then you'll be like, oh, that company is 100% transformed. And you're like, but they were only white people. No, they identify as black. Come on. Spood, I won't say it, but I'll say. I'll close it there.
I think the last two things that I'd like to close off with is I want to encourage you guys to go check out an episode that I did with Ronald Dalton Jr. on the Hustlers Corner. He's the creator of a movie called Hebrews to Negroes that has created a big stir around the world, especially last year in the United States of America. Beautiful, beautiful interview that we had. Go check that interview out. And on the 20th of May, he's going to be debuting brand new movie. I think it's done four now. Hebrews to Negroes 1, Wake Up Black America. I think there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. So come through to Monte Casino. Tickets I think are on, is it Quicket or Web Tickets? I'm not sure. But I think go to that episode that I did with him on the Hustlers Corner and listen to it. He does mention all of the information there. And then last thing that I'd like to say is we are running a May special at the Ekasi Noble Property Development for investment opportunities, because a lot of people have been complaining and saying your phase 4 is now starting at 350,000. I only have 200,000, but I want this piece of land. I would like to build my home and I want to be your neighbor, Sbu, in the upcoming Gonyama Lifestyle Estate, in North Riding Equestrian Estate in the north of Johannesburg. just around all the major highways. N14, Malibongwe, Mbeya's Nodia, next to Cradle of Humankind, Silver Star Casino, Honeydew Police Station, Olivedale Clinic, The Dome, Northgate Mall, Clearwater Mall, next to Kuro Schools, Jekyll Creek Shopping Center, very, very prime area. We are doing a development there. Ngonyama Lifestyle Estate, you will be allowed to slaughter. Ukhinza, you will be allowed to. And it's going to be the first of its kind to have beautiful podcast studios, radio studios, TV studios. We are going to knock the ball out of the park with this estate that is coming, because a lot of people are watching us and a lot of people are already judging us even before we start building. Okay, abantu abamnyama sebenza estate yabo. Sifuna ukubona ukuthi izoba njani. And I believe it's going to be one of the most amazing estates you could have ever imagined. We currently have got over 100 investors, which is an equivalent of over 100 people saying who have bought stands. Let me put it that way. So the special says to you, you can get the 150 square stand. Yes, it's a little bit smaller than what we've been selling for 350,000, but it still allows you to build a 3-bedroom, double story, double garage, and a swimming pool. So get in touch with Ekasi Noble Property Development, 079-275-8821, or you can go to www.ekasinobleproperties.com, or you can go visit their Facebook page, Ekasi Noble Property Development. Thank you, son.
I've got so many things to say now that they're coming to my head. We didn't speak about Tutsabo Best and Dr. Nandi Pamakutu Manyi, who have been in court. There was a case that was thrown out because of the gentleman Upereng, who was the body that was found. We didn't speak about that. I'm only mentioning it so that the squatters know that we track these things. We just unfortunately may not have enough time. And maybe when we have more money, more focus, we'll be able to cover more of these things. I want to thank everyone who stops us in the streets, man. Again, squatters, hustlers, the guys that support us, the guys on Twitter who defend us. Whether we're being attacked against the prime, whether we're being attacked by certain people who don't understand us, to the people who know our hearts, our souls, what we stand for, what we believe in. Sandy Leshezi was accused, Forex guru, Sandy Leshezi was accused of running away from people he owes money to. I'm not sure where that story is gone, but one of the news stories that has come out is that he's running for president in 2024 of the country. That becomes another conversation on its own. I did an interview with Musi Maimani of Bossa. You guys can go and check that out. I had a conversation with Rob Hersoff. You can go check that out. I sat with Dr. Michael Louis of the One South Africa movement around electoral reform. Please go check that out. There's so much to talk about in what's happening in the country. And I challenge all of you with platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Educate, inform people. Share some of your thoughts, man. Engage with us where you can. We appreciate you. We love you. I might say it again next week. I'm not sure. 12th of May. 12th of May. My heart. She was my heart. My firstborn daughter and my princess, Africa Phoenix Joy, was born back in 2013. That was the month I quit. I was working at Standard Bank and I quit to go and become an entrepreneur fully. Africa turns 10 years old. We were speaking yesterday or the day before, and she was showing me a black doll that her mom bought for her. And she was like, she's cute, right? You better say she's cute. Africa, I love you so much, man. I think anyone who's close to me in my family, in my friendship circles, knows that from the day you were born, I have loved you so much. My brother Penson has got 3 boys, and he was always happy to have boys until Africa was born. She came and she flipped the script, and she brought in this feminine energy, and everyone who encountered her felt this African magic dust, which I think she's sort of passed on to her younger sister, Culture. Both of them have attitude. I normally, when I explain them to people, I'm like, my daughters are these assholes. They sassy, they have attitude, they outspoken, Africa, I love you so much. All the way in China, you know I'm going to see you soon, but I'm wishing you an amazing birthday. I love you. I can't wait to see you, man. And don't ever lose yourself. One of the things I love about you is you are so headstrong. You have never been influenced by anyone. It inspires me to stand firm in my beliefs. And it reminds me, without a DNA test, Culture's mom was telling me 2 weeks ago that Culture said, Mommy, I want to start my own church. Culture's 3. I'm raising cult leaders. Jeez. I think I'll stop there from now. Thank you so much to you squatters, man. We'll see you guys soon.
Happy birthday. It's on the 12th of May,
On the 12th of May.
Yo, wakhula labantu cho.
Nami nginengane eziwu-1,000. Mele ngicalculate. Konje May. Konje whose birthday is coming up? I love my kids.
Ngane ezi trillion
Billion.
Education go ama million mancane uDanroom khona ama 5 billion ndoda ngathi prize prime.
Stop drinking Mofaya, kids. Do you see what happens? So what happens when you drink Mofaya? That animal comes out that you saw there.
I love you guys so much. Uncle Subu is here. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Happy birthday. Warato is turning 10 this year on the 28th in October. I'm turning 44 this month actually, on the 28th of May. So to all the May babies, to all the Geminis out there, your daughter is Taurus, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be lying. I don't know a star sign.
Yeah, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But anyway, shout out to our children. We love you guys so much and we're looking forward to spending more time with you. I think I'll leave it here as well.
The virtual Mkhukhu, man. We're out. Have a great week.
Guys, we're on a 365-day posting challenge. We're posting on this YouTube thing. You must post. Peñol has inspired all of us to take out our phones and just start recording our thoughts. You don't necessarily have to record your thoughts. I don't know what type of content you're creating, but whatever niche you've chosen to be into, start putting in work and start triggering the YouTube algorithms by posting as often as you can. Might not be every day, but more often than you've ever posted.
Cheers. We're out.